Right. I'm Phoenix Wright, a defense attorney. I just earned my badge a few months ago, so I'm still a rookie. In fact, I'm beginning arguments in my first real trial today. I'm here! Sorry if I worried you.
The trial begins at 10. I sure hope you're ready for it.
Yes, thank you for being here. I know how valuable your time is.
Of course. I couldn't take you under my wing and then skip out on your big day. You're finally leaving the nest.
Thanks.
Always so ambitious. This is a homicide case. Not many people would take one on for their first trial.
I know what I'm getting myself into, boss. But I had to take it, because I owe it to him.
To whom? The defendant?
Yes. Actually, I've known the guy ever since we were in grade school. He's part of the reason I wanted to be a defense lawyer in the first place.
Let's hope you can clear his name.
There's no way he's guilty. But how will I convince the judge? That's my client. Good old Larry Butts. He and I go way back, to say the least. That's you! I didn't do it, I swear! Get your hands off of me, man! I'm innocent! Come on! I believe you, Larry. This isn't your style. But your name's all over the papers these days. Not the kind of fame you've been dreaming of.
Okay. This guy inspired you to become a lawyer? You were serious, right?
Yes. It's a long story. He's weird, but deep down, he's a stand-up guy.
He seems to have trouble sitting down.
Butts has always been a cheeky one.
Don't forget, to argue a solid defense, you have to believe in him and his innocence.
Right.
This court is hereby in session. We have been gathered today to hear the case against Mr. Larry Butts.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Then let us begin with your opening statement, Mr. Payne.
Yes, of course. The victim went by the name Cindy Stone. She had a promising international modeling career. It was cut short one afternoon by an act of violence. Her beautiful face bashed in inside her very own apartment. Autopsy reports put the time of death between 4 and 5 p.m. We've identified this statuette of Rodin the Thinker as the murder weapon, which I would like to submit to the court at this time.
Accepted. I say, that is quite a modern representation.
Did you just hear the lawyer guy? It's Rodin, not modern. And this was a gift I made for my girlfriend.
Do you mean you sculpted this, Mr. Butts?
The defendant's fingerprints were indeed all over the weapon, Your Honor.
Are you serious?
If you made it, your fingerprints would be all over it, you idiot.
Help me, Nikki! You gotta let me state my case, man. I can't hang for this.
The prosecution would now like to call Mr. Butts to the stand, Your Honor.
Very well. You may proceed.
Oh, yeah!
So bad luck, bad attitude, and no control of his mouth. You know how to pick him.
Hello, Mr. Butts. Now, is it true you'd recently been dumped?
Huh? That's a lie! We even had Stony Butts picked out as our celebrity name.
That has got to be the stupidest one I've ever heard.
She had kind of been ignoring my calls lately, and she stood me up more than a few times.
Sorry, but that describes a breakup almost perfectly.
I wasn't dumb!
So, I should take that to mean you were aware of her recent travels overseas?
She went on a trip without me? Of course. Where'd she go?
Let's have a look at her passport. It shows the victim returned from New York 1 day before the murder. We also found a photograph taken on this trip.
Huh? That's the Thinker.
Your Honor, I would also like to submit these items as evidence.
I'll accept them.
Hey! Hang on just a second, man. Who the hell took that picture?
The man with whom she was traveling.
Oh, hell no! She went on a...
You're just giving him the rope to hang, aren't you?
As you can see, he's mad with jealousy. So he had a clear motive, and he's obviously prone to fits of rage.
That is abundantly clear.
What? Ah! I'll admit, I'm passionate, but I'm no murderer.
I have one more question for you, Butts. Is it true you visited her apartment on the day in question?
Did I? I don't know. Huh? Oh.
Wow, this Butts guy cracks under pressure, doesn't he?
You don't recall, huh? That's fine, because I know you were there that day. I can place Mr. Butts at the scene that very afternoon, Your Honor. If it pleases the court, the prosecution would now like to call upon our eyewitness to take the stand.
They have a witness?
Order! Order in the court! Bring the witness to the stand.
Hello.
This is where things get real. Luck.
Hello.
Who is this guy?
Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Frank Sowett, and I sell newspaper subscriptions.
Mr. Sowett, to the best of your recollection, please tell the court what you saw the day of the murder.
Yes. That day, I was going on door-to-door sales calls, as usual, when I saw a man slinking out of that poor young lady's apartment. Yes, that man sitting right behind me now.
Larry, you should have told me you were there.
He left the door open, so I looked inside to make sure things were okay. Needless to say, things were far from it. I saw the victim lying in a pool of blood. I was too terrified to enter the apartment, so instead, I rushed over to a nearby payphone to call the police. This all happened around 2 o'clock, by the way.
At 2?
Why use a payphone? Was there not one closer to the scene?
Yes, but unfortunately, due to some utility repairs, there was a scheduled blackout in the area from 1 to 6. So he couldn't use it.
The phone would be completely inoperable.
A blackout?
There you have it. The motive, weapon, and a witness placing Butts at the scene.
Something wrong?
No.
Now, Mr. Wright, begin your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, you're up, Phoenix. If your friend Mr. Butts is clean, the witness must have lied in his testimony. Compare what he said to the evidence. There's bound to be a contradiction somewhere. Find where that is.
I will.
Good. You have everything you need to win this case.